Can you hurry that up?
I'm ready
I like
to go
these
when
rings.
you are.
These are cool.
Thank you.
Way
3,
better.
2, 1. Boom!
Still got it. We
Okay.
still got it.
Still got it.
Welcome back to the Decent Humans podcast.
I'm Evan.
Jenny.
Chris.
That was great.
That was great. It was, they introduced just in case. We have new people every single day. And
We have to make sure that they know who we are, right?
exactly. And then
Okay.
first of all, I just want to call out before we jump into anything, we have new mic stands. And the only reason we do is because of Chris. And he did not get them for us. It is because Chris cannot learn to talk into his mic. And so we got him something that he can literally
Just
turn his head
carry
in.
it around with him.
And now he can just be like
There we
Mick
go.
Jagger at a concert.
Yeah.
And he can do whatever he wants with it.
Thank you, Evan.
So
Thank
you almost didn't talk to your
you. I still didn't use it right.
You
One
can like
day.
lean with it,
Lean
rock
with
with
it, rock.
it.
What I was thinking about the other day was in a past episode, we were all talking about, well, actually, it was on all three of our episodes Jenny's, mine, and yours. There was a common theme through it all. And what I noticed it was all of us kind of pivoted somewhere along the way. Maybe once, twice, 3 times, but we all started at least with one direction. And then we changed it either a lot or made an adaptation to, go a different route. And is that something that you agree with? Because I started noticing it as we were all talking about it.
I think, you have to there's a saying that my past coworkers and I used to say, evolve or die. If you can't, if you can't pivot and change with where the career is flowing or where your life is flowing, you can get stuck. And I think it's very valuable to be able to recognize what's happening and it's time to shift and let go and move in a different direction.
Absolutely. I think, I feel like a lot of people are scared of pivoting or changing direction. Especially think about it when you're in school or you have a plan and you spend all that time going to school or getting a degree in something. And then all of a sudden, I know for me, I was like, I don't want to do that anymore. That's not what I want in my life. And it feels like it's a really scary moment to be like, I'm going to almost put aside all of that experience and go after something else. And it's super scary, right?
Sorry, go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
I have a somewhat similar experience I didn't get into before yet, but when I had done styling for a couple of years, and then when I had that realization that this wasn't for me, it was the decision to go into some other fashion career or go into fashion PR. But I had this moment, or I wrestled with this a lot, that I felt like I was selling out, that I was giving up on this dream. I didn't try to hard enough, so I drug it out forever, working for this stylist.
And you were saying that it was not a great working environment.
No, she used to threaten me if I wanted to leave, that she would trash my name in the industry. She would get me blacklisted from all the agencies.
That's sounds like something from a movie or something like that.
It was literally like Devil Wears Prada.
Really?
If you've seen that
Yeah.
movie.
I've never seen that show before. Anne Hathaway.
But she used to, and she would tell me that I would never get a career anywhere
Scary
else.
movie.
So I felt stuck. I felt like I couldn't leave. And then eventually it got to a point where I was like, I just have to go whether she does this or not. And then
And it was probably just a very scary moment because you probably put in a lot of time, a lot of work, a lot of effort, and then you just had to be honest with yourself and say, not for me. And it's time for a change.
I had a friend that, sorry, Chris, I keep it for
No, but
No, that's fine. Anyways,
I'm not here today. It's all good. How did you come to the conclusion that you were ready to go, ready to move on?
Well, one, I just wasn't happy. And two, I had a friend visiting, and that was a particularly crazy weekend. I was styling this celebrity's wedding, and then the lead stylist was out of town, so I was supposed to get into her office, get the dress and the veil, and bring it to the venue, whatever. And I lost my keys, which had the house keys, in I couldn't find my keys, so I couldn't get into the house to get the dress and all this stuff.
Oh no.
And I literally was collapsed on the floor, just freaking out, hyperventilating. And my friend was like, look at you. This is what you're 90% of the time. You have so much anxiety. You're turning into this person.
Yeah.
And you're not going to have any friends left if you keep going down this road. So it's kind of after that I was like, I need to make a change, whether it feels like selling out or not. But
it kind of sounds like, not that I've seen Devil's Wear Prada, but
Devil
Emily
Wears
Blunt,
Yeah.
like in that movie, it kind of reminded me of that, how she was super high strung and everything like that, and she was just like always on edge, and she was, so it kind of reminds you of that.
I was getting that way all the time. And then I was also, the stylist that I worked for was like mean. So I was like taking on those traits because I was with her 24/7. So you just kind of internalize these traits of the people that are around you. And it just like, kept going downhill and downhill.
And you were there for how long?
I was with her for like a year and a half. And then
Damn.
I tried a couple other stylists and then it just.
That process happens quick. Like you don't even realize like you go down that whole rabbit hole or whatever, and then all of a sudden you're like,
I'm a psycho.
I think that's a really good example and a very clear example of like, you knew something was wrong, you need to get out of it. Sometimes I think when you're pivoting, it's not always that cut and clear of like, because you noticed it, like you saw your mental health going that way, you just saw your friend group kind of closing, and you're like, I need to make a big change. And so that was clear to you. And then like, Chris, have you ever experienced, like, I know you've experienced pivoting, but I feel like yours may have not been as clear cut for like the direction you wanted to go.
I feel like I force myself into those situations. I feel like I thrive in those situations more so than just like some sort of constant. Just because it's like, it's constantly, I like to feel like my back's against the wall. That's how I work the best.
Yeah.
And so pivoting for me is something I very much want to continue to keep adapting because it forces me to evolve.
Was it like pivoting from, would you say it was the biggest pivot for you? Was it going from sports to social, or like going after acting, or was it going from like football to baseball when you were transitioning?
I mean,
sports
I
to
think there's
pivoting
small
sports?
moments in your life that like, what is it, from the ages of 0 to 7, we're basically, it establishes who we are as human beings.
Yeah.
If we want to go really far deep into that,
I'm
like,
still establishing. So
but like that
Is
is
this a
like the
proven
base
fact?
layer. Yeah, no, this is a
I think I'm
proven
like
fact.
dog years, so I still got a few more years to figure out my shit.
But I feel
hopefully.
like very early on, like you're gonna be faced with those challenges. But even like in college or whenever I left college, going to LA and all that, I knew what I wanted, but it wasn't like a clear path, right?
Yeah.
And so
it wasn't clear what you wanted to do afterwards, but you knew you were up for the challenge
Correct.
to pivot and
Yeah.
take on that, whatever that
So
might be.
yeah, so like with acting and whatnot, it's like, yeah, I wanted that, but over time you just basically evolve and pivot, and you're open to what's going on.
I like what you said, the small moments, because sometimes you don't even realize it's happening. And then all of a sudden your life is just in a different direction without even realizing it.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. It's like it doesn't always have to be a massive change or a massive pivot. It could be that small, like, oh, is it this job or that job, and maybe it's in the same field, or it's do I take on this opportunity or not take on this opportunity, and it could totally change your life just from that one decision.
I know you've
not
had
to stress you out.
I know you've had like a big moment when you were going from athletic training and you just quit on the spot.
Yeah.
What made you do that? Oh,
I mean, that to me was like one of the scariest times in my life, just because it was like you, I had zero clue what I wanted. I just knew it wasn't that. There was nothing wrong with it. It wasn't clear that this is something that I should do from like an outside perspective. Like I was checking all the boxes. I was like, I went to school, I got decent grades, I passed my boards exam, I got hired as a trainer. Like I was doing it exactly the way I was supposed to, but something just didn't feel right internally. And like I remember calling my parents and just saying, this isn't for
Were
me.
they supportive?
They were actually more supportive than I think I thought they would be, especially because my mom was a physical therapist. So I thought like she really wanted me to be a physical therapist like she was, but it wasn't that at all. So I was lucky in that. And I think what they may have had a different feeling about it if I didn't have at least some type of plan going into the next part, because yeah, I quit that life, but what I decided to do was go back and get an internship in marketing. So at least I had like an idea of like, all right, I'm just going to do something else. I'm not just going to sit here and wait and see if what opportunity comes to me. I went out to find that next opportunity. So I wasn't sitting there and waiting for that next opportunity. And I think that's really important when you are going to be pivoting or you want to make that change in your life. That's something I had to come into terms with, that no one is going to make that change for you. No one's going to help you. At least you shouldn't rely on anybody else to help you along the way. it's going to be up to you to actually take on that challenge and go after what it is you truly want. And that might change too.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Because for me, it was going back to school and I got my MBA, I went and got my business degree, but that still wasn't what I ended up doing afterwards until I finally found the camera. And I was like, all right, this is the career I want to go on. And I'm sure I will pivot again. But I think the biggest difference is, whereas before, I feel like I was jumping freeways, changing lanes completely.
Well, there's an analogy. If I've ever heard one.
I was changing lanes completely, going from athletic training to business to photography, and now I finally feel like I found my lane. I don't plan to change anytime soon. If anything, it's just going to widen.
Yeah.
And I'm going to see what else I can bring into my lane.
You're on the 405.
I'm on that 405, baby. That 5-lane traffic in the carpool lane, just going. Just hopefully I'm not going to hit that rush hour traffic.
There he goes. There he goes. Wait, I have a... Chris, what did you go to college for?
Oh man, it changed multiple times. PE for the most part. No, it was psychology, and then I got into business management, and so I finally graduated with business management.
I was
degree.
gonna say, are any one of us here actually using any of your degrees that you?
Kinesiology degree, nothing.
Yeah. So I changed my major a million times when I was at the University of North Dakota. I ended up, just because I had so many different like random credits, that I graduated with general studies.
Yeah.
And then I
Solid.
went to fashion school, which I'm also not using. So that was fun.
I went and got my MBA, Master's in Business Administration. I mean, I guess I technically
You kinda
use
use-
it.
you
I use it
started
'cause
a
I started my own
business.
business, but
It's not like a
it's not
day-to-day
the
thing.
traditional route that most
Yeah.
of my MBA colleagues are doing. Like
But
they're
it gave you
working
your
on-
entryway into your first job for the most part, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. The investment firm.
Yeah.
So like I wouldn't have gotten that job if it wasn't for the MBA, and I wouldn't have gotten my opportunity at Morphe if it wasn't for the investment firm, because one of the managing partners' wives was the vice president of sales there.
That's a good point. So
So-
even though we're not using our degrees, like my fashion degree was my foot in the door that led me to where I am also.
And I think that's actually super important. It's like, I feel like most of us, at least Jenny, you can, I can, but most people out there, even though you may not have like a direct link, you could probably find that pathway of like how your previous experience led to that next experience, that led to that next one, that led to where you are today.
You know
and
that-
ideally, you end up where you want to be.
I've never interviewed for a job.
Really?
All of it was referrals for
That's
from
impressive.
direct
That's cool.
people. Yeah, well, like
Yeah.
I got my styling job when I moved here, and then my next one was a referral, and then my Louboutin job was a referral from the Evil stylist, and then Louboutin to ICA to Threadbeast, like all people I knew. And then
So you never had to like actually sit down in an
I've
office?
gone on interviews, but
Yeah.
none of the jobs that I've gotten have been because I went on an interview.
It wasn't like so where do you see yourself in 5 years?
I've done them,
like-
but not yeah.
But not for the jobs that you actually got. You know
Damn,
what?
I don't think I've ever done.
So there's a
gotten in
key-
for an interview either.
Key point: your relationships are
It's more so relationships.
your
yeah.
relationships are your currency.
Yeah.
When was your last real like 9 to 5 job that you had
That's
to
a good
clock
point.
in?
Look, like in Tennessee, even when I graduated, I worked as a waiter at like this Mexican restaurant. Like it wasn't, and then I came back home for a minute.
Hey, we all worked in the restaurant business.
I
Yeah.
work, yeah.
Bartender. I was a waiter at a Japanese restaurant.
I
What's up? Of course.
served tables at a Mexican restaurant all through college.
Oh, you did.
Yeah.
I worked at CPK for 2 weeks to pay for spring break.
Spring break.
Yeah, jambalaya was bomb there. It was $1 after you worked. It was
Yeah,
awesome.
I was gonna say, I literally went from like a waiter to I came back home and worked for a moving company. Like so, I would
Oh, you
just
were,
work
like,
under the table.
moving
Yeah,
stuff?
for like a year. Just,
Where is it like one of those hot guy movers?
He was like shirt off, just like hot sun just coming down.
I would love
Just like,
that.
hey, do you have any? Can I come in for a glass of water?
it wasn't that way, but yeah, no, I was just like very much against going into corporate America. Like for the most part,
Must be nice.
I can see that about you.
I'm like, I have my degree, but I don't want to use it. Like I was
Yeah.
just stubborn in that way, and I just never wanted to go that route and just try to figure out my own path.
Yeah.
And so that led to working with my shirt off for moving.
I knew it. I knew it was. Yeah. And that's
we
what led to
find
his
some old
marketing.
footage of that?
Yeah.
It was never.
He's got a big box. Is Hero okay? Miss Jefferson?
No, but like honestly,
When's Mr. Jefferson?
I How do you think of this? Where did this come from?
I write them down at night, just like I look prep and just like if there's a joke about Chris moving.
Me too.
So you went straight into corporate America right away.
What, from NBA or
Yeah.
just for like
Yeah,
in general?
general.
Well, I think it had a lot to do with like my upbringing. You know, credit to my parents; they really instilled in me like I needed to have security and
Yeah, they scared you.
They
from
they
an
scared me,
early-
right?
yeah,
We talked
early
about the
age, yeah.
My
painting.
parents
on
tried
the
to scare me, but
boardwalk
I
and
didn't listen.
stuff. I didn't have
Never
a choice.
listened.
PTSD. My dad coming over. Just kidding. I love you, Dad. But yeah, it was instilled in me very early on. Have security, and I think a lot of people can relate to that. Have that security, go to school, get good grades, that whole mindset, and then it finally is that breaking moment of, all right, I think I found what I can do. I'm good at it. I want to build a career in this, and I had the confidence to be able to pursue that.
Okay, I want to like switch directions a little bit, still pivoting, but is there like a moment in like a job that you've been on where things are just not working and you're like,
Totally.
scrap this, we got to start
Totally.
doing something else? Probably not.
Wait, are you talking about like,
Like
a gig or like an actual career or like a job that I took?
A gig.
A gig.
Like something that we'd hire you for or something.
Yeah, 100%. I actually was just doing a shoot for Asus. It was a laptop company. Johnny was there. Shout out Johnny.
Johnny.
I do a lot of shout outs
To Johnny.
to Johnny. Right, anyways, we did this photo shoot, and Johnny can attest to this. Like what happened there, I had this whole idea that I wanted to do for the photo shoot. We hired the model, we had the stylist, we had makeup artist, we had the crew, we rented the location, and I had this whole idea of this colored world that I wanted to create for this photo shoot. We get in there. I didn't account for how close proximity the room was and how the walls were just bright white. And we had LED lights in there, but when you turned on the strobe, it just washed everything out. And then when you left the LED on, it just made the skin tones look really bad.
Yeah.
And it just didn't look good. And so there was a moment where we were trying to force it and trying to make it work. And it started looking better. But I took a moment, I stepped outside because inside I was like, this isn't working.
Yeah.
Like this is on me too. Like there's no brand there. It's just my photo shoot. I was like, I need to figure something out. I walked outside, took a breath, thought about it. And then I came back in and I said, look, we're scrapping everything. The whole concept that I had before, we're throwing that out the window and we're changing it right now. And we changed the lighting, we changed the positioning where we wanted the models, and it turned out phenomenal. Hopefully when this comes out, we'll throw some
You
photos
can have
up
some
there
photos, yeah.
because it turned out so good. But it would have not been that way if I was trying to force it and not willing to adapt and be able to like change on the spot. So actually, yeah, and that
Great
was like
job.
last week. Do you have a story, Chris, about something that happened on the like
I
you
don't
were
think
trying
it
to
was on
catch a
the
wave
fly,
and then
no.
you're like, oh no, this wave just
you
isn't
gotta
for
switch
me.
it up.
Yeah, switch
Go
it up.
left instead of right.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, am I gonna part my hair to the left side? I'm gonna part my hair to the right
It's
side.
a constant battle every day. You know? You're just getting ready to be like, oh.
Is it this black shirt or this black shirt?
No, I don't think that. I mean, it's always happening, right?
Yeah.
But like I used to work for Lyft, like I drive Lyft and Uber and everything
yeah.
when I first got here, and so I think that you very much utilize the jobs until you're able to like. I'm a huge proponent in having multiple opportunities and creating multiple opportunities for yourself versus like just having one.
Yeah.
Like I talk to my friends all the time that just have one job, but like I feel like when you have one job, it's like the one reliable thing that you have. But when you remove that, you have to create opportunities
Yeah.
for yourself.
Absolutely.
And you're very much like LA is a place where there's so many creatives and you have to have multiple jobs in order
Yeah.
to continue to keep surviving.
Yeah.
You have, because everyone else is on the grind here. You have to try to keep up,
Yeah.
basically.
I wonder if it's how different it is in other cities. Because I totally agree. In Los Angeles, I would say most people have more than one job, or at least in my immediate circle that I can think of, like they are doing multiple things. Whether if they're a freelancer, they have, different opportunities they're taking on, or like in my case, I'm doing photo, video, directing, podcast. Like
Yeah.
we're doing different
Multiple things. Yeah, no, I feel like that's like an LA thing. I mean, it could be an East Coast thing too. We are always trying to better ourselves or like one up ourselves and like keep things flowing.
Yeah.
which I think is a good thing. The one thing I will say is like we don't know how to rest. I don't know how to rest.
I
you
try to focus
do-
on that more.
I think
No,
for
I
sure.
do-
well
it-
on that, but
Just from sports and stuff, just like recovery and
Yeah.
everything. But I feel like
That's true. See, there's a good example of you using your past example or experience and being like, yeah,
like I literally try to get 9 hours of sleep, 8 to 9 hours of sleep.
oh my god, I
Dude.
live on 6
And
at
right-
least.
and- but like if
That's
that
it.
works for you, that works for
Yeah.
you. For me,
Yeah.
it doesn't work.
If I got 9 hours of sleep, I would be so overslept the
I don't
next
think
day.
it's possible for me. Yeah,
I go to bed at 10:30. I get up
get
at 5.
groggy.
Yeah.
yeah. If you sleep in
Cloudy.
too long, same.
Really, but you guys feel like you're functioning at a
No.
high level.
I do.
I know Evan doesn't.
I always like function at a solid 60%.
I think
Yeah.
I function at a high level, especially from like 5 a.m. to like noon. That's like my best mental.
Oh, really? So are you like a
capacity.
big morning person?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love
I guess
mornings.
yeah. You're like up, and I see you posting. You're like at the gym at like 5:30, and you're just like.
And I do like
just
my
worked out.
like 2-hour workout, 3-hour workout.
Yeah.
But I do, and then or I'll like get a ton of work done in the morning because my creative brain is like at its best right away in the morning before I get like bogged down by like life and people and all that stuff. I'm like super an introvert, like I'm a
Yeah.
social introvert, but by the end of the day I'm drained
Yeah.
from interactions. So like the morning is when I'm like fresh and I don't have like people having taken everything out of
Taking
me.
everything out of you, and you have like a moment just to yourself. It's when you can.
And I
think
like
best.
being awake before everyone else is awake.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
get so much done in the hours while everyone's sleeping.
I'm in bed at like.
It's whatever
9:30.
works for you, honestly.
Yep.
It's not. I don't think it's like about glorifying getting up at like 4 or 5 a.m.
No.
I think
I-
it's like what works for you to optimize your best human self.
Absolutely. Yeah. I couldn't agree more. Where it's like you said, it's just because Jenny wakes up that early and goes to bed at that time, and like I wake up fairly early, and I probably go to bed a little earlier than she does for the most part. But like I work through the weekends. I don't really give myself a day that I just rest completely, but I choose to do that, and I'm okay with that, and that works for me because I'm able to keep doing that. But that might not work
But
for
do
somebody
you think
else.
that you could get them like you can get more out of getting the extra hour or two of sleep?
I don't think it's necessarily about the sleep for me, because once I'm up and I'm in it, I'm in it.
Yeah.
I did have a moment in the past where I thought like if I'd go too long without any days off and I'd be working and traveling and working, there would become a breaking moment. But I think my threshold has grown to a point where, I can do that for like a month and then I don't feel that weight of just like over exhaustion.
Yeah.
And then I'll hit that point like, okay, I need to take a day
Take
off
some
or
time.
something. But I think my threshold is higher. Somebody else's might be even higher than that or
Yeah.
lower, and
Well,
that's okay.
It comes back to Jenny's point earlier. It's like evolve and adapt, right?
Yep.
The more you push yourself, the more you're
You're going to see what you're capable
what your
of.
capable
limits
of,
are.
yeah.
Yep.
I read somewhere that if you get up 1 hour earlier than your normal, you add a month of time to your year.
Well,
So especially when we were launching our 2 projects because they were back to back, I was trying to get up at 4 instead of 5, and that 1 hour, like I can function at my 6 hours, but I like can't function at my 5. I was like hitting my breaking point at like 3 p.m. to like pure exhaustion, so I don't do that anymore.
yeah. I couldn't do without coffee. I will say that.
Oh, I'm a coffee addict and
Yeah.
proud of it.
Same.
High five.
You
You're
too.
coffee
Sure,
addict?
yeah.
No.
No, yeah.
He just made everyone coffees.
That's true. Well,
He bought you one.
He
though.
bought me
But,
one.
yeah. How'd you like that coffee?
Had raw organic almond milk. It was delicious. I love it. Dude, I'm a basic girl. I like, give me that half and half, that Splenda. My
don't
coffee
think
of
that's-
choice is, I need more coffee. Is cold brew coffee, 2 Splendas, half and half.
2 Splendas and half. You sound like you're from the 1980s.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
Oat milk.
Come home to that
That's a
nice
basic
fresh
girl.
steak dinner. No, I'm just kidding. But 2 Splendas, half and half, and a cold brew. Oh, all day, every day. Blue bottle. I love blue bottle coffee. That's not
Just black
really-
coffee for
Yeah.
me. If I have milk, it's oat milk.
That's the LA in you talking.
That's the basic girl. That's a true basic
I
girl.
want some oat milk. And do you guys have avocado toast here?
You're laughing, but it's true.
I made avocado toast this morning.
No, but I think the commonality with all of us is that like in our 20s, because we're all in our 30s now, I don't want to date us, but we're all in our
Man,
30s.
Chris.
But
Just because you look the youngest.
no, I'm just,
You just
we're all in our
sold
30s.
us
We can agree with that.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
That's a fact. We all tasted different areas and different avenues, and it kind of led us on our path. And so I think there's been a lot of pivoting, but the 20s is the most important time to be able to
Explore
pivot
that.
and explore that. Yeah.
But I think if you don't find it in your 20s, that's fine. Because again, somebody like me, I didn't really find it until I was 30.
Yeah, but you were an athletic trainer and
Yeah.
you had to go through that to
But
be able
That
to.
was in your 20s.
That was
That was in my
20s.
20s. But
Yeah.
then even after
You're
in
still
my
pivoting in your 30s. I was still pivoting
Yeah.
in my 30s. And I don't think that.
And I think that's-
I think it's a. I think what you said is right. Like, take your 20s to let yourself like try everything. And if you're still figuring it out in your 30s, who cares?
Yeah.
Like I was
Doesn't
still
matter.
figuring it out.
Yep.
Did a huge pivot. Obviously, you guys know, into NFTs
yeah.
this year. It has actually been. I've been saying 7 months for I don't know how many episodes. Actually, almost 10 months now.
Yeah, yeah, it's almost a year.
Yeah.
And like even in our 30s, it's still okay to pivot and adapt. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
that's that's the best part.
I think what people forget is that humans, by like nature, are indecisive and we change our minds, and that's okay. We don't have to stick to one thing our whole lives.
Yes.
And we're always growing. Like as humans, we're always growing and we're always adapting to our environment. And the world is constantly changing around us. So it's like, why would you keep the same job from 20 all the way
Yeah.
to 60?
When the world around you has been evolving, if you stay in that, have you been allowing yourself to evolve with it?
Yeah. And you know what I always say? An
No.
adapting human
Is a decent human?
Wow. There
You
we
don't
go.
always say that. I think that's new.
I've never heard him say that once.
Write that down.
That was
Yeah.
good.
It's the new chapter of one-liners, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole chapter. It's going to be an entire book. All right. Well, I think on that note, decent humans, keep adapting out there, pivoting. It's okay. Doesn't matter if you're 20, 30, 40 or plus. Keep pivoting. Find what you're passionate about. And good luck to you. This is Decent Human Podcast. Thanks for jumping in. We'll see you next time.
That was